Do you know ball?
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 Do you know ball? Episode 37, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a new episode of the Do You Know Ball podcast. We have a special guest here today. Please introduce yourself to the ladies and gents out there.
How's it going? My name is James from BrosKnowBall, and I'm excited to talk some ball on the pod today.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here, James. We love you. We've known you for so long, and we have a ball knower on the pod today. He's going to give us some takes. And there's honestly, a lot of topics that you're probably going to, stick your nose in and provide a lot for. So why don't we just start? Let's just get right into it, right? Zach, you wanna just start leading it going? Let's go.
Yeah, so straight going straight into the Mets offseason plans. Now, a lot of rumors have been swirling the past couple days with the Mets, and David Stearns has made it pretty clear that his main objective right now is to go after starting pitching. We've seen rumors with Corbin Burns and Walker Bueller and guys like that. I would like to see them bring back Sean Manaea and Luis Severino. I think they would be good, maybe on short-term contracts. Maybe Sean Manaea 3-year deal, Sevy maybe another 1-year deal. I would like to see them back in a Mets uniform. But besides that, Juan Soto's been like the big name that's been tossed around with the Mets organization right now. Obviously, they've been looking at him for a little bit now, and they're planning on meeting with him this week. Lindor just went down there with Steve Cohen in LA to meet with him. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know exactly if they're gonna get him. I still feel like part of me says that he's gonna go back to the Yankees. But it just makes a lot of sense for the Mets to do this move. Juan Soto's really young, and you're going to get a lot of his prime with a massive contract. So it makes a lot of sense for the Mets to pull the trigger on Juan Soto. But besides that, there's also Pete Alonso. I look as much as I love Pete. I don't know if they're gonna get him, but I something tells me that they are because he's been our guy for so long, and um I the Mets are gonna be the only team to like overpay him, so I could see that happening. He gets an overpaid contract and he goes back to the Mets, but I'm starting to accept the fact that maybe he won't come back. Maybe he will go separate ways from the Mets, and we slide Vientos to third, and we get either Adames or Bregman. I think probably we would lean more towards Bregman because Adames we kind of have some bad blood. I don't think he would gel in to our lineup. But in terms of that, I think there's a lot of things that the Mets have to address this offseason. And on top of all the major issues, I think um the bullpen definitely needs some help. Um, but yeah, so a lot of work needs to be done with the Mets. But we'll see what actually happens. I'm interested to see what goes on with Soto, what goes on with Alonso, the Alonso sweepstakes, if he comes back to the Mets, if he leaves, and then what their plans are afterwards. But it should be fun. Matt, what do you think about all these the Juan Soto sweepstakes?
Yeah, I mean, like Juan Soto is the name that has been going around. Obviously, the two biggest teams, the Yankees and the Mets. Is Uncle Stevie, is he gonna lure him over to Queens, or is he gonna stay put in the Bronx, or some mystery team gonna maybe give him a boatload of a contract? Some rumored teams, Red Sox, Blue Jays, maybe the Dodgers. Who knows? Who knows? But regarding Juan Soto, I don't entirely believe he's going to go to the most money. I do think that the team still matters in a way. And I think that is where the Yankees possibly have the edge in that scenario. They just made the World Series with him. Clearly he loved it. His family loved being a part of the Yankees. So maybe it's just some bias or maybe some of my common sense kind of leaking through that I do think that he's going to be a Yankee. House Steinbrenner, my fault, made sure that Judge was a Yankee. He was the last call, and I think Steinbrenner is going to do something similar to Juan Soto. Hopefully, regardless of how big of that contract is. So, James, the other Yankee fan here, what are your thoughts on Juan Soto with this whole thing? What do you think?
All right, talking Juan Soto. This is so hard to talk about, even because the Yankees just got eliminated. It's hard to talk about the offseason, but as a Yankee fan, it is a scary, realistic thought that Juan Soto will be a Met. And I think out of all the teams in the running right now, I think the Mets have the best shot. And if you told me that a year ago, I'd say you're crazy. But I think the Mets right now have the best chance at getting Soto for a few reasons. And it just makes sense. The Mets had a great year when they shouldn't have had that great of a year. They're a young team, and if they can build on a 26-year-old who's already an all-time talent, they can sign him for the rest of his career to pair with his young guys and superstar veterans. It makes so much sense, and also because Soto will not allow himself to get skimped out on money. And if you're going to ask me honestly, I think if he could choose anywhere to play, if money wasn't a factor, he would play in the Bronx. He wants to play there. He said everywhere that he wants to play for the Yankees, but he knows his worth. And I do not think the Yankees will be the top. I don't think the Yankees will be offering him the most money. For the Yankees captain, Aaron Judge, he had to pass up on an extra $60 million. The Yankees weren't even the highest bidder for their own captain. Now, that's Aaron Judge, who was a farm grown player who obviously wanted to set his roots and career in New York. This is Soto, who just played one season with them. So while there probably was a little bit of magic, I wouldn't be surprised if Soto goes to either the Mets or somewhere on the West Coast.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see where he ends up and where he lands. Definitely Juan Soto is on the top of the Mets bucket list right now, but um, I think it's gonna be just a matter of just where he wants to play and who gives him the most money, obviously. So we'll see what goes on with that. But like, Matt, going to the Yankees offseason, what do you think's the best plan for them to to attack this offseason?
Yeah, so obviously I think they need Juan Soto. I mean, they're gonna have a plan B. The Yankees always have a plan B if they don't get Juan Soto. I won't speculate on what the rumored contract is because I'm not gonna take hypothetical contracts into possible free agency scenarios. But they're looking at third baseman, first baseman. I think Glaber is more likely than not to be gone. Changed his header on Instagram and everything, unfollowed the Yankees. That's just little things to look in. If you want to look into it, you can. But it is some telling signs, and they didn't extend the qualifying offer to him. You have Jazz Chisholm. You can slide him over at second base. I mean, that was his natural position before shifting to the outfield, then shifting to third base for the Yankees. Some third base names. Obviously, Alex Bregman. Michael Kay mentioned briefly a possibility of Nolan Arenado. And then you look at the first base market after they let Rizzo go. The big names that have been talked about, Christian Walker, Pete Alonso. I don't think they go the Pete Alonso route. I think that the Mets are going to get him regardless of what the contract is. First, I mean, Paul Goldschmidt is also a free agent. And then if I think they get Soto, I think to save money, I could see them going a Paul Goldschmidt route. Do I think that's the best case scenario to get Paul Goldschmidt to man first base? No, but we have to somewhat think realistically with how Steinbrenner and how Brian Cashman work. A lot of Yankee fans want a Carlos Santana type of player at first base. Then there's obviously the casual fan that just wants a guy like Ben Rice to, man the fort at first base. So it is a lot. They have a lot of options the Yankees can go through. I personally think that they're going to look like outside of the organization. I think they're going to get a free agent. Whether that is a top guy like Christian Walker or a smaller guy like a Carlos Santana, I don't know. I don't know. And then people talk. They want to talk about getting a better bullpen. Is Clay Holmes coming back? Is that going to happen? You got Tommy Kahnle, Tim Hill. So there's a lot of question marks that the Yankees are going to have to try and figure out. But they have Matt Blake, and Matt Blake is a wizard with the pitching staff. So will they go out and spend a lot of money on a Tanner Scott? Who knows? So James, James, you can pitch in now.
Yeah, it's imperative that the Yankees get Soto. If the Yankees don't get Soto, I don't see there being any form of plan B. Any form of plan B that can take them at least nearly as far as they went this year. If they want any chance at running it back to the World Series next year, even just giving them a shot, they have to get Soto. And they have to lock him up. He's got to be a Yankee for life. That just can't be an opportunity that they miss. But, we'll see what happens with that. As for first base, they have to get a first baseman. They cannot allow Ben Rice to play first base. We're obviously not going to put Oswaldo Cabrera at first base. Need a third baseman. For sure they're gonna move. I don't think Glaber's coming back, considering they didn't extend a qualifying offer. There are teams in this league that will pay a lot of money for Glaber Torres, given his track record, his talent, and his ceiling as a player. He's probably going to get at least what the qualifying offer was, maybe more. So I see the Yankees sliding Jazz to second and then having a hole at third. I don't think they go the Alex Bregman route. I just don't think that works. Although I wouldn't mind seeing it. I just don't think the chemistry would be there. It'll be interesting to see what they do with third base, but it's imperative that they get Soto. As far as the bullpen goes, they ended up picking up Tim Hill from the White Sox, and he went from getting dropped by the worst team in baseball history to pitching and in one of the most imperative roles in the World Series. So, like you said, Matt Blake's our guy. He's our wizard. We're going to pick up whoever it takes for the bullpen. I don't think it's smart to bring Clay Holmes back. He's an all-star closer, as much as I hate to say that. And like similar to Glaber, teams will pay for him. Teams will overpay for him. And I don't think it's worth the Yankees' money. It's time to move on from the cardiac Clay experiment.
Zach, you want to? No. Oh, no. Okay. I'll go. I agree. I agree. I think that they can spend that money for Clay Holmes elsewhere. And if they do bring him back, I think you have to leave a guy like Luke Weaver, who's been so dominant in the closer position. There's no point in going out and spending like however much Tanner Scott would demand when you have a guy who's on a $2 million contract in Luke Weaver. So
yeah, and he was too dominant at the end of 2024 to not take him out of that role. He obviously embraces it, and he showed, great maturity in even the biggest of moments, even the World Series. So he's obviously the Yankees' blessing in disguise as they were trying to recover and find a different option from Clay Holmes, but definitely some middle reliever, some long relief guys to back up this bullpen who has a chance to be very good. This has a chance to be one of the top bullpens in the league.
Yeah.
absolutely. Mhm.
So speaking of people who getting signed, the main thing this offseason is Roki Sasaki, and I kind of want to get into a little bit with that with the both of you here real quick. Japanese phenom Roki Sasaki is officially being posted, and is a free agent. He could go to any MLB team that he wants. And obviously there are the favorites. It's the Dodgers, and maybe potentially a close second would be the Padres. But I really honestly think that the Dodgers need pitching. He has a high chance to go to the Dodgers because of Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto. But like a part of me also wants to mention the fact that last year we saw something similar with Yamamoto, and how heartbreaking it was mainly for the Yankees to lose out on him. You had the same offer, same amount of money offer to Yamamoto as the Dodgers did. So I mean, he just chose to go the other way in that sense. But what team do you guys think that Roki Sasaki is gonna end up?
The
This,
Dodgers.
yeah, this is a no-brainer. He's going to be a Dodger,
Mhm.
and that I mean, you hate to see it, but when you get Shohei Ohtani, there's rippling effects that go beyond
Yeah.
just what he does on the field. He's he's the best baseball player, not only of our generation, but of all time. And that hurts. That hurts to say because It hurts to say, but he is, and his effects go beyond the field. He almost pays for himself because of his worldwide merchandise sales. You essentially turn the Dodgers into like the Japanese West of America, pretty much. Um, and when you go get Shohei Ohtani, the captain of the Japanese national team, you're gonna pull in guys like Yamamoto, and you're gonna pull in guys like Sasaki, and this is just a no-brainer. There's no way he's gonna go somewhere else instead of playing with um Yamamoto and Shohei. It's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think if you sit him down at a table and you give him his pitch, how do you not say no to joining Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Shohei Ohtani, while they have their brand new World Series trophy right in front of them? How do you say no to that? You can't. I just don't see how they're gonna say no. They're gonna give him, what he wants. The whole signing process overseas, I'm not too familiar with. I won't get into it, but I just think it's so obvious he's gonna be a Dodger. But it begs the question that I kind of want to get into with you guys. Do you think that him? Okay, let me rephrase that. Would you think less of him if he chose the Dodgers?
No. No. I just think that's the way it goes. You know what this is? This is you coming to a new school, right? And there's a bunch of tables, people eating lunch, and you see two of your buddies eating lunch, even if it's with the bullies. You're going to go sit with your two buddies that you know at a new school. And honestly, that is the best way to put it. There's zero chance, like you said, fresh off of a World Series with your two friends that you know from the national team, there's just no way he passes up on that. And I don't see less of him for that. You know what? It is what it is. That just kind of is what it is.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't see any less of him if he did decide to go to the Dodgers because you know what? They've just built something special over there, especially with Otani and Yamamoto now, both being the front runners to sign a guy like Roki Sasaki. So I no, I wouldn't hold it against him. Um, but it's just how the I guess it's just how the cookie crumbles. Like he's gonna go where he sees the best opportunity, and I that may just as well be with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But yeah, so speaking about the Dodgers, let's just move on. Let's just move on to the NBA world real quick. I want to get into um the Cavs and how great they're doing right now, but I do have some questions for the both of you about them. Currently as it sits, the Cavs are 12 and 0. By the time this video goes out, they could be 13 and 0. They will be playing the Sixers coming up. So, I just want to know from you guys, do you guys think that the Cleveland Cavaliers are contenders this year?
Me?
I would say I would say yeah. I mean, there's no reason why I wouldn't consider them contenders. Or if we're talking about for the NBA championship, there's always going to be those tough teams. I mean, there's always the Celtics. But like they're not the Celtics have shown this season already that they're not invincible. And the Cavs are a great team, especially when healthy. Their lineup is their starting five is just unbelievable. I mean, when you have four potential all-stars in your starting five players with Darius Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley, Jared Allen, you have those four guys in your starting five. It's going to be tough to win against them. It's going to be very tough. So I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be contenders.
Yeah, Zach, why don't you respond to that?
Look, I think I talked about this with you a little bit.
You did.
And you know what? Like I think there's no question of the fact that the Cavs are gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna make the playoffs for sure. They can make it as far as even the conference finals maybe. It's just depending on a lot of things that have to go right for them. So like Donovan Mitchell has to step up in the playoffs and has to be healthy. And if he's not there, then it's just he wasn't there last year and it didn't go well for them last year. So I think they have a good team, but I think they need one more little piece, whether that be a role player or an extra little mini star, if you would say. But think they just need like another extra piece to go along with that nice starting five and depth that they got on that team. But in terms of the playoffs and stuff like that and being like contenders for an NBA championship, I don't think they're quite there yet. And that like you could disagree with me. Um, but that's just how I feel about the Cavs. I feel like they're just the same team that we saw last year. Obviously, they didn't do much changing to their roster. And I just don't see them winning a championship just yet or being contenders for a championship just yet.
Why not though?
I told you. I just said. I think they need one more extra piece.
What's the extra piece?
Well, we were talking about this before. Maybe like a good role player guy. Maybe there's a way that the Nets could help them out and give them Cam Johnson.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
But what
that's
about you?
you said it and I agree with it.
So Cam Johnson pushes the Cavs over the edge in your eyes.
I don't know. I again, like I said, I feel like just a lot of things have to go completely right for the Cavs. Like I think Donovan Mitchell really has to come into his own, and Garland has to play a lot better than he has in the past.
See, I
He's gone
disagree
through a
with
lot of.
you. I disagree with you there. I don't
I have
think
to disagree with you. I
I
disagree
don't
with you
think a
too.
lot of things have to go right. I don't think
They're
anybody
going
has
right
to do.
now.
Yeah, I don't think anything has to be different. Um, the Cavs just have to play Cavs ball. They just have to play their game, and the only thing that really has to go right is people have to stay healthy. If they can keep people on the court and healthy, they should be a force to be reckoned with. I don't think it's that far out of the picture to see them go all the way or to see them take down a tyrant like the Celtics. I mean, it's a tall task, but like there's no reason why I see them not being a contender.
Oh. Yeah, I don't think anyone expected the as good as Luka Doncic is and Kyrie Irving. I don't think anyone had the Dallas Mavericks making the NBA Finals on their bingo card last year. Anything can happen. I mean, the Cavs are 12 and 0 regardless of who they played, right? 12 and 0 is an incredibly hard feat in the NBA. Donovan Mitchell led the Jazz to the 1 seed when he was, on the Jazz obviously. He led them to the playoffs. He was their top scorer, he was their best player. Did they win the NBA Finals? No, but he proved that he can be the best player on a playoff team. And I think as long as the Cavs keep doing what they're doing, whether they beat the Celtics is another story, but to not call them contenders is foolish, in my opinion. I don't think they need another piece. I think a Cam Johnson or a Dorian Finney-Smith, from a Brooklyn net perspective, those are very realistic targets for the Cavs, and that would make them better. Uh, I wouldn't say those push them over the edge, but you have Donovan Mitchell as your A1. Then you have other guys, Mobley, Jared Allen, Garland, and when they're surrounded by Kenny Atkinson, who's a very good development head coach, and they're 12 and 0, as you can see, he fits their system very well, and he unlocks the most out of the young guys, and even Karis LeVert. He coached Karis LeVert in Brooklyn too, so he knows how to work with them. I think it's they're just meshing well, and the Cavs are finally unlocking their potential and their ceiling. And will they beat the Celtics? We'll come back to that. We'll come back to that in a few months. We'll come back to that in a few months.
I still don't think any team's gonna beat the Celtics, but that's just me and that's my opinion.
But does that take away from saying the Cavs are contenders though?
A little bit. I mean, like I don't know. I just
Who's a
don't see
contender? Who's a contender in the East?
What is your definition of contender?
Yeah, let's start there.
my definition of contender.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because
Mhm.
it seems as your definition of contender is if a team can beat the Celtics.
Can I also put it in like a baseball perspective, right? You take the Tigers, man, right? Like, did you think they were going to be contenders? But the moment they make the playoffs and they sneak in, like they're like you know what I'm trying to say here. So like, come on, yeah, tell us.
No, I get it. I get it.
Let's I mean speaking sticking to a baseball perspective, you put the Mets against the Dodgers. Did you think the Mets were contenders because do you think the Mets weren't contenders because they couldn't beat the Dodgers or because you didn't think they could beat the Dodgers?
Well, no, but so I guess I could see where you guys are coming from with the Cavs. But I don't know. And then no, my definition of contenders is not if they can beat the Celtics. I think a lot of teams have to match up to the Celtics right now, and they're and the way they're going. But I mean I guess I could open up my mind to the fact that if like the fact that they're gelling really good right now, and that's really all it takes. I mean, you saw it with the Mets. All it takes for the team is a team to gel really good, and you can make a deep run and potentially win it all. So I guess I could see where you guys are coming from when it comes to if the Cavs are a contender.
Who's a contender in the Eastern Conference in your eyes?
Well, obviously Celtics. Knicks, I think, are definitely a contender.
Why?
Just their starting five, and they got a little bit of depth. I think they need to get depth, more depth actually, in the trade deadline. But their starting five alone is really good, and Brunson's put the team on his back countless occasions,
The
and
the 5-5 Knicks are contenders and not the 12-0 Cavs.
you do this every time. You
I'm
do
I'm
this
just, I'm
every
just asking
time.
you a question. Mikal Bridges has been playing way below what they expected. Karl Anthony Towns is allowing 91% of the shots that he's guarding to go in.
Okay, but first off,
Jalen Brunson has not been himself.
Cat has
They
been
have no
terrific though.
depth. They have no
Cat
depth.
Cat has been terrific though for the Knicks. So I don't know why. I
I
mean,
actually think on pen and paper, the Cavs are the better team than the Knicks.
As it's constructed, yeah. Why not, Zach?
yeah.
What makes the Knicks better than the Cavs? Did the Knicks, make the finals? Did they make the conference finals? No. They have
The
no
only thing
depth.
that stopped the Cavs in recent years is just injuries and health. If they have all of their players on the floor and in good health, they should be a tough team, one of the toughest teams to stop. And also, they've had a lot of young, like really good young talent, and they're all kind of coming into their prime years right now. And I have, yeah, I just like to pick your brain because I don't
I
see how,
I'm curious, yeah.
yeah.
No, look. I think the Knicks are definitely up there for me in terms of the firepower they have. But I again, like I said, I'm seeing more and more what you guys are saying when you mean the Cavs are contenders. But I don't know. It's gonna take a lot to beat the Celtics, and it's gonna take a lot for any team actually to beat the Celtics.
But we're going back to that standard of can they beat the Celtics as your standard of a contender. You keep circling back to that.
I do, I do keep
So
circling
is
back to
that
that.
is that your definition of a contender? Can they beat the Celtics?
Well, it'll prove a lot to me. So I guess in a way, yeah, is if they can beat the Celtics.
Okay, hold on.
Well, what are you pulling out of your hat right now?
I thought of something. I need to make sure I'm right before I say it.
Go ahead, go ahead,
I
mention
will.
it.
Well, if I'm right, I gotta make sure. I gotta
No, no,
fact check
mention it
this.
regardless.
No, I gotta fact check it. Because
No,
if
no,
it
I want you to mention it
no, I
regardless.
just need to check something. I don't think
Mention it
there's
regardless.
I don't think there's any saving you, buddy. Like so.
No, I want you to mention it regardless. Regardless
No.
of what happens, I want you to mention it
No, I don't think I will.
because you're not right.
No, because my dates were wrong.
Hmm.
I was just seeing something. No, okay. I just made up a scenario in my head. All right, we can continue.
All right, then. Um. So I guess I don't know. We just move on from this and head into the Brooklyn Nets, Matt, if you want to lead us in that.
Oh, we're going to the Nets. Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
All right, let's do this. The Brooklyn Nets. As everyone knows, I'm a huge Brooklyn Nets fan. The biggest Brooklyn Nets fan. The only Brooklyn Nets fan in this call. Question mark? Is that
I'm pretty well versed in the Nets of Brooklyn
okay?
as well.
Okay,
Yes.
that's we'll touch on that maybe. But as of right now, the Brooklyn Nets are 5-6 as we record this, and they are the biggest surprise in the NBA. Now, they were projected to be the worst team in all of basketball for this upcoming season, and they have been playing past their expectations so much. They are at the moment literally a top 4 team in the Eastern Conference, a team that was slated to be in the running for Cooper Flagg, Dylan Harper, Ace Bailey, a team that was, relying on the tank is winning. And as a Nets fan, I kind of want the tank, but if they're winning, I'm not going to be, a Sour Patch Kid and I'm not going to, complain, right? Like Cam Thomas has been balling. Could he be an all-star? I mean, if the Nets keep winning and he keeps playing as he's playing, I mean, it would hard to say no. Dennis Schroeder has been phenomenal. Cam Johnson has been phenomenal. Funny enough, he's been better than Mikal Bridges this year. Dorian Finney-Smith is going to garner some picks at the trade deadline. So it begs the question for the Nets. Does Sean Marks leave the team as it is and just kind of let them play and potentially make the play-in or make the bottom half of the Eastern Conference in the playoffs? Or does he just ship off the vets and get more assets? And a big part of this question, we shouldn't even be having this debate. I should be telling you right now that the Nets are like 1-10. I should be, but no, they're 5-6. Jordy Fernandez, the head coach, has been freaking phenomenal. Like he's been so good. He lights a fire under their ass. He holds players accountable. Most importantly, he holds himself accountable. He's taken the blame for a couple losses on the year, saying he should have done this better. But he's just been so good. He's been gelling with the players. I love him. They have a franchise coach finally. I'm glad Kenny Atkinson's doing well in Cleveland, but we have Jordy Fernandez now. So my personal take as a Nets fan, they should sell because if they do make the playoffs with this team, let's be they're not. Zach, this is the definition of not a contender. Okay, this it's not a contender. They don't have enough. They don't have the talent to win it all. So it would make sense and it would fit their timeline to ship off guys like a Dennis Schroeder, a Cam Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Bogdanovich. It makes sense to ship off those guys and get as many assets as you can back because this draft class this year is the most loaded draft class in like the past decade. So they already have 5 draft picks in the 2025 class. You can get potentially up to 7 or 8 this year if you just ship off all your vets and you play your pieces right. The Nets are in a great spot regardless. It's going to be fun. Feel free to, add whatever you want. That's my little Nets rant.
Also,
Yeah.
as a part-time Nets
Part-time.
fan, as a part-time Nets fan myself, I've spent some time in the Nets department, and then I've ventured off to greener pastures, literally. But as as a part-time Nets fan, listen, they have some great young talent, and they have a really good coaching staff, especially this year. The players and coaches, they're never going to play to lose. And when you have some good young talent, they're obviously going to play to win. They want to put their names out there. Coaches don't want to get fired. They're going to play to win. But if you're a Nets fan, you just don't want to see this year. Like this is like similar to what you said, Deej. Like you want to see your team win, but like you not this year. Not this year. Delay it at least one more time because the Nets could have an all-time draft. They could flip this franchise on its head, and all they have to do is lose. For the one season that Nets fans want the Nets to lose, they're winning, and it just doesn't make sense in the most Nets way possible. It just doesn't make sense. You just have to hope that they just ship everybody off because if they do make the play-in and they don't get that high of picks, they could miss out on some all-time players, and you would just hate to see that as a Nets fan.
Yeah. Zach, what do you think?
I think they're really just shocking me personally right now. Like, especially with Dennis Schroeder, guys like Dennis Schroeder who are averaging what, like 20 some odd points right now. It's absolutely unheard of, right? And I've never, not to say Dennis Schroeder's not a good player, like a good role player, but I don't think I haven't seen him put up numbers like this in God knows how long. And I don't even think he has put up numbers as good as this. Like if you look at him, it's like looking at an all-star right now. And also, Ben Simmons is just doing what he needs to do. He's doing the damn thing with at least 6, 6, and 6 across the board. Like you can't complain if you're a Nets fan looking at that and you're seeing the numbers he's putting up. So he's starting to play a little better. Obviously Cam Johnson's playing pretty good, by scoring like at least 15 a night. So you got guys actually like moving towards Cam Thomas. He's another guy that's been really good for the Nets. Um, Yeah, but it's just a very big shocker. Like they're giving good teams a run for their money. They almost beat the Cavs the other night, which was mind-boggling to me. How they had a lead for all that time, but obviously it had to come crashing down. Um, but yeah, no, the Nets are really shocking the world right now. And you hate to see it, but you love it at the same time because you don't want your team to lose, but at the same time you want your team to lose in terms of this year to get the draft picks.
Can I ask you a question, Zach?
Hmm.
The Nets lost to the Celtics the other day by 4. If they beat the Celtics, would they be contenders?
No, I
Okay,
hate you.
no,
I hate you.
I was just
No, 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 I
curious.
hate you. I
I
hate
was
you.
just curious. No, I was
Mm.
just
No,
genuinely
no, I get it.
curious.
I get it. I get it. You're curious.
I was
You're curious.
genuinely curious. But the Nets, they have if they decide to, lose. I mean, keep in mind, right? The Nets were like 5-5 at this time last year. And then everything just kind of went downhill. So that could very much happen. They're starting off hot and then they go downhill. So let's not, let's not freak out a little bit. But they have their draft pick this year from the trade with the Rockets. They have their draft picks for the next couple of years. So that's good. They have their draft pick this year. They have the Milwaukee Bucks draft pick, which is interesting, and we will touch on that. They have the Knicks pick, and they have another pick that I'm blanking on, but they have 4 first round picks and they have 1 second round pick. So they have five draft picks in total in this loaded draft class. So regardless, even if the Nets, have a late pick, those other picks, especially that Milwaukee Bucks pick, can be very valuable. And we're gonna segue into this next topic, and it's almost perfect because we have like someone perfect for this segment. So someone perfect here, right? It's perfect. So let me give the rundown, and then you can give your little 2 cents, whatever you think. Um, so Giannis Antetokounmpo is rumored to be on the trade market. Is he going to get moved? And if so, what are we thinking? The two teams, the two teams that just reported have been the Brooklyn Nets and Miami Heat. James, go for it.
All right, so I know I mentioned earlier I was a part-time Nets fan, but I'm also a full-time Milwaukee Bucks fan. Uh, and I'm actually one of Giannis's closest friends and one of his closest advisors. And listen, he's not getting moved. He isn't getting moved. The Bucks aren't gonna trade him. It's really unfortunate to see this start to the Bucks season, and honestly, I don't even know how a team with just Dame and Giannis can go like 2-8 or whatever they are at the time of recording this. Um, I don't think they move Giannis personally, and if they do, I don't see him going to Brooklyn at all. If he does go to Brooklyn, then I'm a full-time Nets fan. I've rejoined the Nets fan base once again, back from my greener pastures. But I think now, call me crazy. I still think they're still on board with this Dame Giannis experiment. And I think they're just gonna try and see how far they can push the boundaries. Now, listen, if they double this record and they go like 4-16 or like 4-20 or something like that, they're gonna blow it up. They're gonna let it go. But it's hard for me to not see a way that they turn this around or at least make it somewhat competitive. And I think that starts with the coaching because the coaching has been really bad. And I think they're gonna start with that. I think eventually they're gonna have a new head coach and probably bring in some more pieces at the deadline, or they're gonna blow it up. And I don't think he goes to Brooklyn. That's my take on it. I don't think Giannis goes to Brooklyn in any situation.
Yeah.
Zach?
So personally, I'd have to agree because I don't see Giannis getting moved. No matter how bad it gets in Milwaukee, I don't see them moving a guy like Giannis, a franchise guy that they've built their team around for so long that they've won a championship with. Um, and yeah, I know that brings back a lot of happy memories for you, James. But I don't see um the Bucks getting rid of Giannis just because of the special talent that he is. Um, and you know, if he does get moved, if he does get moved to Brooklyn, I find it really hard to see him going to Brooklyn, but I could also picture it if that makes any sense, because I know you guys have a lot of draft picks and you have a lot of trade leverage that you could send to Milwaukee for Giannis. Good, good, James.
Yeah, that's like the main thing too. I just don't see this happening. Listen, Brooklyn got KD, Brooklyn got Harden, Brooklyn got Kyrie. They traded for the stars. They did the whole let's get the big star thing, and it just didn't work out. See the rebuild through. You have all these picks. You still have good young players. Just see it through. I don't think that the Nets should go through the whole trading picks and getting the big stars. It didn't work. It didn't work. That experiment, they tried it and it didn't work. I think they just have to see this rebuild through with the picks and their young players.
I see you itching over there, Deej.
No, because it was funny because he almost said we.
I'm just neutral on this
He
conversation.
almost said we.
I'm
No, but
neutral.
look, okay,
I'm neutral.
Giannis is not getting traded this season. They're gonna ride out the season with Dame and Giannis. However, I could totally see him getting traded this offseason. I really could because first off, the Bucks they're in financially and draft pick wise, they're in arguably one of, if not the worst situation in the NBA because their next draft pick is a first round pick in 2031. They have no draft picks from 2024 now all the way up until 2031. So your flexibility in terms of bringing in young guys, fresh talent, and making trades using picks for assets, you have none. And you could argue, as talented as a Dame and Giannis duo is, it hasn't been a great fit. And you can honestly argue that Drew Holiday was a better fit for the Bucks, and it sucks because they essentially made the Celtics better by making the Dame trade inadvertently. They obviously didn't send him to the Celtics. They sent him to the Blazers. Blazers sent him to the Celtics. But that was their biggest mistake. Not letting go of Drew Holiday, but letting him go to the Celtics. So I can see Giannis getting moved this offseason. I could see Dame potentially getting moved. I think Miami is going to be in on both of them. Will they get both? No, but I could see one of them going to Miami. I don't think Brooklyn is going to get Giannis. I don't want them to get Giannis. I want them to do the rebuild path. Also, I was at the Rutgers basketball game the other day. Sean Marks was there. Again, this is his second time going to a Rutgers basketball game. He's clearly scouting Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper. He clearly has the rebuild in mind. I don't think he's focused on trading for a star for a Giannis type of player. However, he's not gonna, say no if some calls ring at his phone. That's what I will say. But Giannis is gonna most likely get moved in the offseason, especially if the Bucks have a really bad year like they're having. So keep an eye out. Giannis might be on the move. Yeah.
Could be on the move. And you know what? The two teams that are mentioned, obviously Brooklyn and Miami, I could see him maybe in the offseason but being potentially traded to Miami because Miami's been on the cusp of a ring for a while now. And they've made some dramatic push. They made the finals twice in the past couple of years. Once in the bubble and then once a few years later. Um, so I could see him going to Miami because they do need that big push, and he would pair nicely with Jimmy and Tyler Hero and Bam and all them. So Miami makes a lot of sense. What they would have to give up, I don't know. Um, Obviously it
Probably
would be
like
a lot,
three of those players you just named.
probably, probably,
Yeah.
but it would be the move for them to push and make the finals, if probably win a ring. That'd be their money move to get Giannis. But
Is
yeah,
that
no,
a team? Is that a team that takes down the Celtics?
if it has Giannis, probably,
So the Miami Heat currently constructed plus Giannis would beat the Boston Celtics.
probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I'm
Um.
just curious.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what lies with Giannis and the Bucks. We'll have to wait and see. But in terms of bad news, Deej, why don't you lead us into our last topic of the night?
Yeah, last topic, ladies and gents. Everyone's favorite team, America's team, is down for the count. Dak Prescott is out for the year. Cowboys blow chunks. What else is new? But what's next? What's next for the Dallas Cowboys? They just lost to the Eagles in embarrassing fashion because what else did you expect from the Dallas Cowboys? 3-6 on the year. It's not looking good. The season's over. Like it's done. They can't win the division. The Commanders and Jane Daniels have been phenomenal. The Eagles are better. Obviously the Giants blow. That's the only good thing, I guess, for the Cowboys that they won't finish last in the division. Um, but the problem stems from Jerry Jones. He is a terrible owner. He's not what he once was, and just you didn't make any trades, really big trades at the deadline. You got Jonathan Mingo. You got Jonathan Mingo. Who is Jonathan Mingo going to win you a Super Bowl? No, he's not. Mingo is not going to win you a Super Bowl. So the problem stems from ownership from Jerry Jones for signing more XFL players than NFL players in the offseason. Yes, that is real. That is actually real. So it's crazy and it's embarrassing when your best player is your kicker as well. A lot of moves need to be made for the Cowboys. They did re-sign Dak. They do have CD locked up as well. They need to get Micah Parsons, but outside of that, I don't know what they can do. I don't. Because with Jaden Daniels going to be dominating for the Commanders in the NFC East for years to come, that division might be wraps for maybe close to the next decade. So the Cowboys are in a very sticky situation, but their season essentially ended with Dak Prescott's injury. And that's all there is for the Cowboys. That's all she wrote.
Yeah, James, I know you have some experience with Dak in fantasy football.
That's right. I
So
forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how, but I always end up with Dak on my fantasy team every single year. And him actually getting injured was the end of one of my fantasy football leagues this year, which is a league where you get eliminated if you're the lowest scoring person. And because Dak was out, we got eliminated. And I don't like Dak. We don't have very good blood together. So yeah, stinks. I'm not a Cowboys fan. Stinks for Cowboys fans, but yeah, not a fan of Dak.
yeah, I don't know what is next really for the Cowboys. They've struggled to get over the hump for the past couple years, and this year was just a massive disappointment for them. Um, and now Dak is hurt, and things are just spiraling out of control now, especially after the big loss to the Eagles this past week. So I don't know what's next for the Cowboys. Deej, I don't think you even know what's next for the Cowboys. What the
I
plan is.
I don't think they have a plan. I think they're just gonna just play football. And Mike McCarthy should be fired yesterday, but they're gonna keep him for the rest of the season because Jerry Jones. That's it's over.
Yeah. Um, as Dak said, I don't know if you saw this on the sideline, but he said the Cowboys fucking suck on the sideline. So that's just how it is. They suck and they're not playing good. And everybody that's a Cowboys fan is definitely hurt by it. But with
Oh,
that, with
it's a common occurrence. I don't know if anyone's hurt, but continue.
yeah, no. Well, with that being said, I was just gonna about to wrap up episode 37 of the Do You Know Ball podcast. James, just want a quick shout out. Thank you so much, Bros No Ball. Again, that's his YouTube and TikTok, Bros No Ball.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you for having me. It
yeah,
was a
quick
great time.
shout out. Just thanks for coming on, talking some ball with us. Um, But that wraps up the episode. We will see you guys next week for episode 39. Should be another fun one. We'll probably talk more football, any baseball news, and obviously basketball season still happening. So we'll bring you all the latest updates on all of the sports. But for now, we're signing off. We'll see you guys next week.